Sunday, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, and what was like, I thought we were done with quarterback injuries for the year. It feels like, Burrow went down and then Purdy went down for like 2 months. And, Lamar has been dealing with this thing, but it felt like, we didn't have that like big catastrophic quarterback injury besides those two. And, it sucks because every time you forget about it, it feels like, here it comes, right as soon as you think you're safe. And Daniel Jones suffers a torn Achilles. Mind you, he'd already been playing on a fractured fibula. That news came out earlier in the week. That he had a broken freaking leg, and he was like going out there like, I'll be fine. And by the way, if you watched the beginning of that game, you could tell his mobility was so much more limited. My God, like Daniel Jones, that was always a big positive of him. Is like he was very sneaky athletic. Sorry to phrase it like that, but yeah, no, like you could tell something was off with his leg. And then, I mean, just like I've had a few knee injuries myself. I know this isn't a knee injury, but what I'd say is like there's such a tendency for like you're favoring one leg, you're trying not to put so much weight on it, and then that just leads to injuries on your other side. Like that happens all the time, but this is just unlucky. He popped his Achilles. Like that's just being unlucky twice in a row. That's brutal. And yeah, it sucks for Daniel Jones. This is a contract year. He was on a 1-year, $14 million contract. He was going to get paid. I hope the Colts still do pay him because I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the hell else they would do at the quarterback spot. So maybe not as big of a payday as he should get, but he's going to hopefully at least get paid at the end of this, maybe by the Colts, maybe by some other team. But with that being said, again, hopefully Daniel Jones recovers well from this because it was really, really nice to see his career resurgence. And once the offseason starts coming up, hopefully we can, look back at this and like this really positive story of like Daniel Jones turning his career around. Everyone had left him for dead. He goes to the Vikings for 5 games as the backup, learns there, and he comes in this Colts offense with an insanely talented running back, a great play caller, great head coach. And it's like we finally see what Daniel Jones could be. And we see the potential of the offense. The Colts start off 8-2. But yeah, and it just goes away like that. And that's the reality of football more than any other sport. It's like everything can look so good and it gets instantly ripped from you. Even though the Colts were on we're on a skid. I was still confident enough in the Colts for them to like get out of their funk and find a way. But with this Daniel Jones injury, that is brutal. Riley Leonard comes in for the game because Anthony Richardson, if you don't know, which I'll be honest, I did not, he has a orbital fracture in his eye. Well, he has a broken eye socket, at least that's what I think that means. I'm not a doctor, but he was warming up with an exercise band and the band snapped back at him and hit his eye 2 months ago. And his recovery timeline is TBD. We don't know. Like, we don't know if he'll be back this season, which is crazy. How does that happen? And apparently this was the same pregame warm-up where Charvarius Ward got hit by his own guy and suffered his first concussion. And then now he has been in the protocol 2 more times and just got put on IR today because he suffered his third. So I don't know where that ranks historically in the worst pregame warm-ups of all time, but that's got to be high up there. Yeah, so anyways, Anthony Richardson isn't an option. Riley Leonard comes in, plays decently well. Like, I actually thought it wasn't bad. It looks solid enough, but then now he has a knee injury because the Jacksonville defensive line was getting to him all game. So in comes Grandpa Philip Rivers, who is literally 44, which would make him by far the oldest player in the NFL. Now that, of course, Brady's gone a few years ago, and Vinatieri was gone a few years ago. So yeah, this is the biggest unk we've had outside of Aaron Rodgers. And he's got full 2 years on Aaron Rodgers. So Philip Rivers has not played since 2020. If you were curious, I don't know how relevant these are to you now, but when he was playing 5 years ago, it was in the pandemic. That's why he opened up his press conference with, it's nice to not be on Zoom, because that was his reality when he was last on quarterback. You couldn't really step outside. That was a time, where I started just watching film because I didn't know what the hell else to do. So that way, I learned a lot during that time. He had 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks, solid quarterback rating, his last year in Indy, and he was like pretty good. Led that Colts team to 11-5 to the playoffs. Their head coach was Frank Reich, which is crazy. That's an insane pull, who has bounced around more than a few teams at this point. And his OC was Nick Sirianni. Like, oh my God, what are these names that we're pulling out? The owner of the Colts at the time was Jim Irsay, who recently passed away. Absurd. We are looking at a completely different era of football. It's completely different. And now he just comes back out. And there's real talk of him playing in Seattle on Sunday, which is 4 days from now when I'm recording this. Like, are you kidding me? This has got to be the most insane story I've heard in a long freaking time. And in a year where we've had just so many absurd stories, this like takes me back to the days of like 2022 when Antonio Brown was up to doing crazy shit. And it's like, oh, you're checking your phone. You're like, are you kidding me? I saw that phone and I'm like, oh, Adam Schefter. I got baited. I read it for the first time. I'm like, oh, real funny. Real funny Twitter. Okay, cool. You gave me some fake news. All right. And then I read it back and I'm like, wait, Schefter is spelled right. Wait, he has a blue check mark. Click the count. Wait, you have 18 million followers. Wait a minute. That seems to be kind of accurate. Yeah, Phillip Rivers. Apparently they had a pre-workout with him or a workout with him and went pretty well. Apparently he knows Steichen's offense because that's a very similar offense to the one he runs for his kid in high school that he coaches. I don't know. I have no idea how this is going to work out. No one knows. If anyone in the media claims like, oh, this is a horrible move or this is an amazing move, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about and you can turn it off. I have no idea how this is going to work. None of us do. This is going to be insane because it is so hard. This is a point I've been making the last few weeks, right? As JJ McCarthy, or 9, has been getting shit on the last few weeks. And as Shedeur started playing a bit, and he was getting shit on and then praised, and then getting shit on again, and then getting praised because of Shedeur Sanders. So no one can ever have just one opinion on him. It's like, I talked about how hard it is for young QBs to transition at this point because the way they teach the game in high school, college is so much more different than the way they're teaching or the way you need to play in the NFL. It is an insane transition, the likes of which I cannot remember there being a harder one, at least throughout NFL history. Like, it is absurdly difficult to learn the quarterback position right now. So instead of trying some random young guy or, maybe trusting Riley Leonard, I don't hate them getting a veteran. Do I kind of hate that it's Phillip Rivers and not like Taylor Heineke? I get that it's past the trade deadline, so that also definitely has something to play with it. Otherwise, yeah, you 100% call up the Bengals for Joe Flacco. But that's not an option. I don't think the Bengals are going to cut him out of the kindness of their heart. Yeah, Phillip Rivers, why not? And I think the story that a lot of people have forgotten in all of this is that 3 years ago, when the Niners had their quarterback conundrum, I don't know how else to put it, in 2022. Of course, we had Trey Lance was a starter. He went down, suffered a fractured ankle, done for the year. Jimmy G breaks his foot, done for the year. And in that moment, they called Phillip Rivers, and they're like, hey, just letting you know, we would be potentially interested in you because we have this kid named Brock Purdy, who's the last pick of the draft. We like him a lot, but we don't know how this is going to work out. So, hey, we're just going to give you a call. Let us know, start learning some of the installs. We potentially want to have you in here. Then Brock Purdy goes out week 14 in Tampa and has one of the most electric rookie debuts I can ever remember. And then Phillip Rivers didn't end up coming over, right? And then there was talks of once Purdy went down in this championship game, that's when we first got rumors of, hypothetically, if the Niners somehow beat the Eagles or had beaten the Eagles, we would have called Phillip Rivers, right? And it would have came out of retirement, and his first game back would have been the Super Bowl against Kansas City. That would have been the greatest story in NFL history. But instead, the Eagles wax us, large part to the refs. And we never see that play out. And now, 2 years later, we get Phillip Rivers back in the NFL. Absurd. I just wanted to touch on that story because I think some people are forgetting that happened. And we should not forget that happened. This is not the first time Phillip Rivers has almost come back. This is absurd. I love it. I love it so much. He is an old school freaking gunslinger quarterback. Talks shit, insane amounts of shit. I love it. I love it so much because, hey, it makes the Colts interesting. The Colts are a team I have actually talked about on this podcast more than a few times just because I've come out in defense of them, right? At the beginning, we had a lot of people shitting on Indy. And I didn't see a reason for them to. It was like, oh, I just don't see it with Daniel Jones. Oh, I just don't see it, yada, yada. Hell, I made an argument for John Taylor being the MVP after that Falcons game where he was absurd. And now it sucks because the Colts trade all their first-round picks, and everyone's calling them dumb for something that's out of their control. So I like the fact that I like this. Makes them interesting. Makes them really interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to when my Niners play them on Monday Night Football. That'll be fun. I am a little bit concerned about Phillip Rivers surviving this game, just a touch, against Seattle with that insane interior pass rush. But hopefully they keep him upright because if they can keep him upright, I'm going to be honest, he probably can still sling that ball. It's Phillip Rivers. He was really good 5 years ago. He can be a fat as hell. He can not move in the pocket as long as he gets rid of that ball in 2 seconds and puts his little zip on it.